Hello everyone, it's the Maych and Pajak podcast. We are here. The Premier League resumption is looming big time, so we thought we'd revisit the notion of us doing nailed-on predictions. What do you mean?
I think they were all right, weren't they, defo?
Oh no, we're not going to actually revisit the last ones because that would be mental because they're all correct and it would just be a complete waste of my time, your time and anyone's time to actually go back and look or listen to that. But we did do them.
And we've deleted the show, just so you know.
I dare say, yes, they were perfect. They weren't. I don't think we got a single one right. But I like the idea, so we're going to go and do that again this week for the restart, which we'll do in a little bit. A couple of things to get through before we do some housekeeping. I want to apologise. I say apologise like I care. Colin Kaepernick did not get sacked by the San Francisco 49ers. He left. So it was his decision, apparently. So a lot of people called us out on that, on the comments. Where were you, Chris? Where were you on
2016.
That? Yeah. I mean, where were you there? I mean, where were you to catch that mistake?
Sorry.
Resident expert. We've also had a couple of reviews that came in as well, which I'm very pleased that people are doing. So yeah, thanks very much to everyone who has taken the time to get the reviews in. If you want to leave a 5-star review, as you're about to see, I will read them out, provided they're good. If they're not good, then they won't get read out. But as long as they're 5 stars, that's fine. Straight up truth bombs. The obvious years of friendship between Maych and Pajak makes this podcast feel like you're round your mate's place, having a natter, solving the world's problems. Also, it gives great insight into who you two are outside of Redmen TV. Hashtag sitting on our perch. Hashtag we shall not be moved. Get in. That was left by Suarez's teeth from Australia, apparently, which is good to know. And so the second one is 5-star again. Sound lads for copites. Recently graduated from uni in Liverpool, so being useful to stay connected with Scouse humour and spot on commentary of Wales/UK events. Thank you so much. And also, because I want to say thank you so much to everyone for the feedback on the podcast last week. Obviously, something we wanted to talk about is something you were very impassioned to make a point over. And thanks so much to everyone who's got in touch individually to say to say we didn't do it for that. I didn't do it for recognition. We didn't do it for any reason other than it was something that was important that was spoken about.
I think it is. I think that's right. And I had someone DM me who's a mate of ours who I've known from Redmen for years, and I was like, it's our fucking duty to stand up when we've got a platform. You know what I mean? And be able to speak it, because if you can just change one person's mind, that's sound. Yeah. And if that's all it changes, or it makes people think about it, or go and educate themselves, sound. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's moved on from that, and then we're going to come to our Premier League predictions. So if you want that, then yeah, can't wait for that. The stuff that's been following on from this, Chris, we saw in Bristol. I'm laughing because I actually thought my initial reaction was I just thought it was quite funny. The Bristol protesters for the Black Lives Matter movement pulling down the Edward Colston statue and rolling it into the river. Or the canal or whatever it was. Now, what we've seen is a lot of this kind of conversation. First and foremost, initial reactions. I haven't seen that done. My initial reaction was, do you remember when the Iraqis pulled down the Saddam Hussein?
That's what I thought of. Yeah. I do you know what? I must admit, I've kind of switched off a little bit to the news this week, so I might be wrong here and tell me, but England, if it's now shining a light on our past, that for me is probably a good thing. I know the Lord Mayor of London, Khan's, come out, hasn't he, and said he wants a review of all the statues and all the street names in London. But ultimately, we've got to remember that, unfortunately, England was built and is a rich country because of its roots in the slave trade. Now, we can say that now today, but we can look back and go, well, all right, we don't need to fucking have these things anymore. We recognise that in the time, they did what they did, but it was wrong. Yeah. And so a review of these statues and stuff is probably the right thing to do, and these road names. But equally, it kind of reminded me of something that you said last week, and we've said a few times over the last few months on this podcast, Paul. It's that, when we're talking about, let's say you use a word that a group of people don't like, right? And it's and your exact words almost last week where, well, it didn't bother me. I didn't say it like that or whatever, but if it hurts you, I'm not going to use it. And I kind of think the same with the statues. Yeah. If they're there and it's and 90% of the population are walking past not even noticing it. Yeah. And the 10% walking past and that makes them feel terrible. Fucking pull it down. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think there's a degree to which there's so many. It's a nuanced conversation, so we'll be careful with it. I don't have a problem with it because I think I saw people saying, well, statues you don't want to. You don't want to whitewash your history, but I think statues, I don't know, they can be used to commemorate struggles, or they can be used to, like, I see statues, I think of statues of, like, let's use a Liverpool example, let's use Bill Shankly, let's use Bob Paisley with their, because for me, I think you earn a statue by being something more, being a positive figurehead in certain, or you can have some that can represent things that can have a deeper meaning to people. I'm not sure what a statue of a slaver does. And now I can see people saying, well, hang on a second, you need to keep these things up because it's your history, and for good or ill, it's still your history. You don't want to whitewash, you know what I mean? You don't want to pretend these things didn't happen. But I think that what's interesting is, and the counterpoint I've seen made, and I think is an intelligent counterpoint to make on it, is in the people the conversation that started. And I think the pulling down of one statue has opened up, has educated far more people into the effect. I had no idea. I had to re-Google the name before I started just to make sure I knew what I was saying, because I understood the context, I understood what it was, but I didn't know. It forced me to learn more about it, and it's meant there's been a review, as you say. If Sadiq Khan's now looking at more things, then that has served the greater purpose, and it's actually staying in place.
It's probably done much more than the black photos on Instagram. Because people, like, one way or another, people have looked into this. I'm sorry, you've got, like, a really long hair hanging off your ear and off your chin.
Oh, right, sad.
And it's really quite distracting, to be honest. It's still, the one on your ear is still there. It's massive as well. Yeah.
Weird. Okay, home grooming tips.
Yeah.
Good.
You're definitely not
Shall I put them in a special bag for you?
Well, maybe they were the ones that I clipped off you before when you weren't looking. But no, I think a lot of people will have looked into, because I mean, he had something like 625 slaves over in the Caribbean and all that type of stuff. So I've done the same. I've gone down that little sort of rabbit hole where I've looked into it, and I've been like, and then you think about your own city, and you're like, bloody hell, Liverpool was one of the corners of the slave trade, wasn't it? As we all know, and and are there going to be things in Liverpool? And sound if there is, pull them down. If people are getting pissed off and it hurts people, fucking pull them down.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't see that. I don't see the point. And the thing is, there's a knock-on impact of all this, because of course, again, as we've always said, social media is not the place for nuanced debate. It's not the place to change people's opinions. It can be good for highlighting things and drawing attention to things and having a laugh and having a conversation about people, like-minded individuals. But when you cross over into other people's territories, the knock-on effect, like, so you see the protests, and obviously we talked about rioting last week, and I said, look, again, things like rioting, the looting and rioting, you can go too far, because you can get carried. A bunch of people who aren't backers of the cause can use that just to cut loose on their miserable lives or whatever. But rioting creates far more attention than silent protest often does. And in terms of you seeing some of the defacing of monuments and whatever, so the Winston Churchill monument was defaced, and I've seen so many people jumping to the defence of Winston Churchill and saying, well, look, he fought against the ultimate racist and blah, 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 blah. So that therefore, it's mad. Again, I don't know where, the problem with all this, because I don't know where it stops. I don't know where you draw the line. I think that's what some people's fears are when you start pulling statues down. Who makes the final call? Because if we enter it, and you've got the political correctness gone mad people who sometimes are correcting some things because it can be too far. But again, I'm not asked. I don't have an affinity for those things. I don't agree necessarily. I don't agree with graffitiing like the cenotaph, because you know what I mean. I think that goes a bit far. But when, again, Winston Churchill, the people who weren't alive when Winston Churchill was Prime Minister of the country and know him as basically a caricature of a political leader, and I probably know him more from being portrayed by John Lithgow in The Queen or whatever, or on Netflix, than naturally knowing the man himself. I can't bring myself to be asked about that, but it's a grey area.
And I don't think people are asked about it. I think, you might have a small percentage of people who are asked, and I think most people have just jumped on the bandwagon of being asked, and it seems to be a popular thing to say, it's virtue signalling at the moment and stuff like that, and I'm loath to use the phrase myself, but I actually think it might be that in a lot of cases, because like, it doesn't impact anyone's day to day, give or take,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and in fact, no, it really won't. And no one will have been asked. And most people, if they're anything like me anyway, will walk past those things without fucking seeing them or noticing them. And now all of a sudden people are angry about it. Like, and you know, just on the Churchill thing, you know, it's the problem that we've all got, and it's a problem with politics in this country as well. But the biggest problem with history is that, and as we all know, it is written by the victors. So all the fucking war crimes that will have undoubtedly gone on during World War II have been whitewashed and all that. And, you know, we've decided what the history is now. Really what you want to be doing is you want to be changing the curriculum in schools. You want to be teaching more about the slave trade and what it was, and more from a point of like how they always, I remember, you know, speaking about World War II with a history teacher in school one time. He's like, this is it really in the curriculums, you know, to make sure that we don't forget and to make sure that we understand our history, but to make sure these mistakes aren't happening again.
Your key takeaway from World War II is meant to be Nazism bad. Like, make sure Nazism doesn't come back. That's like your key. If you have to learn one, if you have to boil World War II down, that ends up being the key takeaway, which, let's be honest, is a pretty good takeaway to take away from millions of people losing their lives. You know, if you had to bring something good out of it, it's that we're supposed to see the end of fascism. Yeah, we're supposed to remember those things. The issue with the Churchill stuff is, because look, again, I'm not saying pull down statues of Winston Churchill, but he's got, again, he said he had a number of racist attitudes towards things. Now, of course, you can go beyond the times difference. The people who've jumped to the defence of Winston Churchill, I've found, are people who tend to have British flags in their bios.
Love a Union Jack.
Love a Union Jack. It's fine. Not everyone who likes the Union Jack is racist. I used to love the Union Jack. Oasis used to have it on Noel's guitar. It was great. It was dead cool in the 90s. Now it's just basically been a bit polluted. But by the by, but it's the same type of people who fucking love the British Empire, who love the idea. But we had a mate, and we know you'll know what I'm talking about. No need to go and say his name or whatever. But he used to go on about the Empire all the time. We need to get back to the Empire, and we need to get back to this and that. The British Empire were fucking horrible. We were the bad guys. We'd going into different countries, murdering people, get a load of people, bring a load of people around the world and all that. British Empire, not necessarily that good a thing, but people are so indoctrinated into the notion of these things that I don't think they care to know the truth behind them. And what this has done, it's opened a whole can of worms, and you've got a lot of people who are jumping to defence of these things without really, why bother? Why do you care? I mean, I
don't know. I personally, like, look, and some people will get attached to certain people and certain statues and stuff. I find it difficult to get attached to someone like a figure like Winston Churchill, who I never had any dealings with. You know, he wasn't my prime minister. He was born how many years before? 100 years maybe he'd be born before me. So I find that really difficult. Like, what's wrong with just a plaque? You know, and the thing with a plaque is you can explain things. Like a statue to me, like what you said at the start of this was a good person. He's got a statue, whereas a plaque can be commemorative and also say, here marks and blah blah, and this is why we're putting this here as maybe have a moment of solace.
I've got no problem with Winston Churchill having a statue. I mean, he was the leader of the country when we fought back the Nazi hordes and all that kind of stuff. Fine, for what he did in that regard, he does deserve a statue. But it was just an interesting point that someone spray painting racist on his statue. Again, it just sparked the conversation. That's what this is doing at the moment. It's opening conversations up to start. I'm not saying that everyone needs to take, Winston Churchill doesn't need to be airbrushed out of the history of the country, but it should open up conversations about how high we hold people in esteem. And look, we said this last week, there are no 100% perfect people. Everyone's done stupid things and all this kind of thing. But again, it's how when we put people on pedestals, and the idea that Winston Churchill, you can't possibly question his character because he happened to be the Prime Minister when
did you see the photographs of and I will say it before I say this, I haven't fact checked this, which is a whole other issue with the problem with politics and everything else at the moment, and history and everything. But I saw a photograph of a black guy cleaning the statue, and then 4 Tories coming in for a photo op and pretending they cleaned the statue. Now, it could have easily been photoshopped, and I'm sorry that I haven't, but equally the fact that my first port of call is, that sounds really true, is a fucking disgusting thing. But this is the problem with it all, with everything at the moment, is that, you know, Trump, for everything he's got wrong, has highlighted fake news to a huge thing. Now, the problem I think he's found is he's highlighted it for everybody. And there is a massive problem with either the left or the right at the moment with fake news. I mean, did you see the thing with the World Health Organization? You can't pass COVID-19 if you're asymptomatic and all that type of stuff. So they brought out a statement, I think it was like 2 days ago, right? And they basically said it's a myth. If you're asymptomatic, it's very, very rare, like .something% that you're actually passing COVID-19 on. And then one of the American news corporations clickbaited their statement. And so an expert went back to the Who, not the band, and asked them to clarify their stance. And they said, oh, that's not quite what we said. We meant it, like, it's not all as cut and dry, and it's very grey area, and they weren't able to say categorically one way or the other. And the guy, and I've got this huge fucking thread of evidence, like different surveys. This is the problem. People are picking what they want in every walk of life and pushing it to their narrative. Like the fake news thing, Trump did it for his narrative. I could quite easily make a fake news narrative the other way. And the problem we've got is there's no fucker anywhere in the world who's telling us the fucking truth. How are we supposed to know what's fucking right and what's going on in the world when we're just living in a big fuck off lie?
The thing that's concerning with all this stuff is that, again, it's the political party lines on this. Like, Keir Starmer come out and look, as far as I'm concerned, the first word that should come out of every politician's mouth in this instance is, yeah, we should probably look into this. But the first word has been condemnation of the approach first and foremost, and that's your headline. And the second you say that's effectively your message. So everything Keir Starmer said afterwards wasn't being reported, because every news bulletin was Labour leader condemns a mob approach or whatever.
But if you look at on the other papers on the right side, they're saying the opposite. They'll say Boris Johnson won fucking PMQs, and it's just, you can't win.
But they're all being a bit bad about this. I just don't think it's hard for people politically to just go, yeah, you know what, this is, maybe we should. We probably should look into this, because we've not really thought about it. But actually, now that someone's drawn our attention to this is probably a bad thing, and we should probably do. Because I was thinking about the Black Lives Matter thing. I don't know what the result is. Like, you go out for a cause, you go out to protest something. So let's say you are on a picket line. So you go for better working pay or conditions. When you get that met, or you reach a compromise on that, you stop protesting. Or someone loses the job, or you go and do that, or you do for awareness on something. There's a finite point to it. I don't know what the next sort of step is, particularly in this country, because obviously the touch point was George Floyd over in America. I think that's probably what part of the government can't fathom, the idea that people could possibly be so riled up by something that didn't happen in our country. But
when they've got away with as much as they have.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they're pissed off.
Yeah, that's it. But it's mad, isn't it? Some bold.
But there's genuine
steps
reform coming in America. I mean, you've seen that. I mean, Minneapolis are not funding the police anymore. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's fucking crazy. Walmart came out today and said, well, we're not going to build our Walmarts in places without police. Fucking everyone's made up. Everyone's made up. I was like, fucking 2 for 1, baby. Yeah. Is right. But there is genuine reform. And if you look at the cities that these protests have happened in, there is reform across the board in all of them. Now, I'm with you on the England and the UK stuff. I'm not sure what the end game is. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is just solidarity. Maybe it is just highlighting and education. Yeah. And maybe that's cool, and that is cool.
Because it's about making sure that it's enough. And when you see the pictures and you see the volume of people, and this is, again, for anyone who's annoyed by it, and it'll happen, because the more stuff gets forced into your timeline without you choosing. I always say it doesn't matter what the topic is. It could be it could be fucking Tiger King, or it can be And it can be something as trivial as a TV show or something as major as an important, societal movement or whatever. Exactly, yeah. But these things get forced into your timeline. If you've not chosen them, it's easy for you to get wound up by them. It can be anything from like the Ice Bucket Challenge. So loads of people just hated the Ice Bucket Challenge. It was a good idea for a good cause, but people got annoyed by it because they got bored of seeing people tipping ice buckets over their heads.
TikTok will be mine.
Yeah, exactly. TikTok's a great example of that thing.
It's fine for you to waste your time. Don't waste mine.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the point. But this is what's going to happen, and what we need to reach a point of is, and it needs to be drawn out long enough that it's such a sustained movement that there can be no choice but to enact some positive changes and make big sweeping changes where are needed and where are necessary. So this isn't just 5 minutes of conversation time that gets moved on when something else different happens and draw, the shiny thing draws people's attention. Because I hope that's the thing. It can't just be conversation. Conversation can't be enough. I hope that there's something tangible that we can all point to in the coming weeks and months and go, it was absolutely worth all the things. People talk about the people breaking lockdown rules and all that kind of stuff for it. No one chose this. No one went, this is the perfect time to start protesting for Black Lives and protesting for more equality, racial equality. It's the worst possible time. We're in the middle of a pandemic, but that shows you how important it is that people are prepared to put all those other things aside. That's how important it is. And
they're not just going to the beach, Paul.
No, exactly. And that for me is the takeaway. I think some people will be annoyed by it, and it seems so many reactions to it going, oh God, look at these people doing this and that. You're right. People aren't just going out because they fancy going out. People have got a legitimate cause and a legitimate reason. This is not the people who are protesting being told to be locked down, who are just morons. Yeah. This is like, you've got to capitalise on a crest of a wave, and sometimes things happen organically, and this has happened organically, and hopefully it leads to a more positive world moving forward. Right, okay.
Footy.
Hello everyone, Maych here. Just want to remind everyone that we have got a Patreon. Head to patreon.com/Maych We did our very first Patreon exclusive hangout in the week. We had such a good laugh, just shooting the breeze, chilling out and having a laugh via the wonderful medium of Zoom with some of our amazing patrons. It is available to every single tier member, so it doesn't matter whether you join a tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3. The monthly Q&A hangout is available to you, as well as exclusive content and access to our Discord group as well. So if you want to support the podcast and you want to get involved with the next monthly Q&A, you can do. Go to patreon.com/Maych Pajak. On with the show.
Footy.
Football. Yes,
ends.
It did end. So that's yeah, and it's been far too long. It's going to be over 3 months between Liverpool matches, which is insane. Like the longest gap we've ever experienced without the Reds.
Since the war.
Yeah. So I want to do the nailed on restart predictions. We'll start nice and slow and simple.
Liverpool win it.
I'm going to go out on a limb as well and say Liverpool probably win the league title here.
And become Centurions.
Ooh. I think...
I don't think it's as easy as people think, but I do think it is something that we want.
My suspicion is, having watched a fair bit of the Bundesliga since it come back, I think you're going to find that Liverpool and City are just going to be what Dortmund and Bayern were, and there will be...
Everything's in their favour.
They're just going to largely win every football match. And I said this about Man City because people asking me about this, because obviously they come back on the 17th ahead of us. They play Arsenal in their game in hand, and we've mentioned this in a few different places, but I firmly expect Arsenal to get dicked everywhere by Man City in this. If it was like a 3 or 4-0 thing, I wouldn't be surprised.
I was saying to Paddy, I think in 20 minutes there'll be like a few goals down.
Yeah.
Like and there's nothing there. And funny actually, just before we started filming, I saw DT tweeted like, don't want to get ahead of myself and all that, like, but these lads are looking fucking mint insane. And I just kind of had this thought to myself. I'm like, everyone looks mint insane, but for the Arsenal lads, they're playing against Arsenal defenders. I mean, no fucking wonder. Everyone looks mint against your fucking defenders, lads.
Shocked out Mustafi. Just like, it's mad. And I always wondered this, like, about, like, you said about buying certain type of players. Like, it's worth having, whatever your weaknesses in your side, it's worth buying that player. I think I always contend, that's why we really bought Benteke. It was just to help us learn how to not lose against Christian Benteke.
And no one else had him.
Yeah. But, like, I wonder that, like why Liverpool have gotten good is that all of a sudden we had good defenders, so your attackers are playing Virgil van Dijk every single day. You'd have to get good.
Almost like it's quite easy to do this Premier League managing law.
Yeah, definitely.
Get better players.
Have the best players. Yeah, it worked for Mourinho for so long. So no, I agree on that. The Arsenal City thing, I genuinely think Arsenal are going to come into this with all. I think there's going to be a number of clubs. And it's Arsenal going to fall into this category because, again, we've seen it with the Bundesliga. And look, I think Arsenal and United and Chelsea, and then maybe you stretch it out to Wolves and maybe one or two others. I'm happy to entertain the notion. It might be more maybe Sheffield United, maybe the Ev randomly. You look at what those Bundesliga clubs are. That's like RB Leipzig, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Bayer Leverkusen, who are really good teams on their day. They can beat anyone. They've got some good players. They can cause some problems, but they're all suspect in their own ways. And there's a reason they are where they are. There is a reason they're not winning the league. But there's also a reason they're not down there. But I think loads of those clubs will just be dead inconsistent. So top four. Who are you predicting for top four?
Exactly the same in the same order.
So
right now.
So it's at the moment.
And I'm actually going to extend that to the top five. So Leicester and Chelsea stay third and fourth.
Okay.
Man United stay fifth. City stay second. We stay first.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder. Chelsea should be fine.
The thing with the issue that Chelsea were having is they were playing the young kids a lot and they started to get tired.
Yeah.
That's now not an issue.
Yeah.
And I think the same for Leicester, to be honest with you. I think they went into a little bit of a tailspin form-wise, maybe 1-6 before the leagues ended, something like that, maybe 2-6. And then you're looking at it and going, well, now they're refreshed. They're physically okay again. Small squads, they'll probably be all right to get themselves through this. And they've got a few point gap as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
On Chelsea, I think it is in fourth. And I think Chelsea will come in off a little bit of a buzz as well with the signing, or likely signing of Werner, Ziyech as well, and then fucking hell, like, Havertz.
And Ben Chilwell, apparently, yeah, go ahead.
Fuck me, a boss, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that notion that it was just the Morata money has been blown away.
Don't forget the Hazard money.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Fucking hell, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm right. I mean,
Abramovich realised his life was really shit without football and went, let's just get these to win again. Like
the thing with Leicester, and it'd be interesting to see because the home advantage thing was, I think it's starting to balance out a touch in the Bundesliga, but for the first couple of game weeks in particular, there was no home advantage unless you were Bayern Munich, pretty much, and Dortmund. So I wonder whether that will impact teams like Leicester.
Leicester had like the second best home form in the table, didn't he?
My thing with Leicester, I wouldn't, because I think everyone's looking at them and thinking, like, I think you're right in saying they've got a 5-point gap to Chelsea in fourth. If the league had just finished out, I think you're right. I think they would have finished comfortably.
I think they'd have gone the other way.
Oh, really? I think my feeling is that Leicester, it's going to be about the most fortitude in this. And you're right, actually. If you look at it from this respect, Leicester and Chelsea have got league winners in their sides, so you would bank on them to be able to call on that experience. Just they've got a few more experienced heads who've kind of been there and done it, who should see them through. But I also wouldn't be shocked to see Leicester capitulate because, I don't know, I think they burnt so brightly.
That's kind of my point. We've seen the same things and we've gone with a different viewpoint based off it. So Leicester were 11th. By the looks of things in the form table. Yeah. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 8 points out of 18. and that said to me that they were a tiring side and that they were starting to struggle and stuff like that. Whereas if you look at the home form, Leicester are second in home form. They're ahead of Manchester City.
Yeah.
Like, so I think I've looked at that and gone, do you know what? I think they'll be able to stem that rot and they'll be able to keep them at bay for just a few weeks. Yeah. You've looked at those things, looked at the exact same things and gone, actually, you know what? I think they're going the other way, but no, I think Leicester stay in it.
It's good, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. My only thing on them is that again, it's like squad depth. Chelsea have got tons of players.
Games, though. That's
it's true. But I mean, again, the teams that are most resistant to it are always going to be the teams that have got the most of the good players, and that's why I think Chelsea will be absolutely fine because their squad is amazing. I think it's really underrated how good their squad is, and they've still got like that one last hurrah for Willian and Pedro as well. I mean, could that be a factor? I don't know. Maybe as a negative of we've seen that excuse. Charlton, but the Charlton lad come out the other week and Lee Bowyer was complaining about it because basically said, I'm not playing. I mean, contract's up.
Or if I get injured.
Yeah, exactly. I could cost myself a big move by getting injured, which is interesting. So let's look at the little clutch underneath that then. Man United, Wolves, Sheffield United, Tottenham with a club. I always do this. Like, Tottenham fans, we were getting asked to do a Ball Street video a few years ago, and it was like, what do you think? What's your opinion on the rivalry between Liverpool and Tottenham? And I went, I can 100% categorically say that Tottenham Hotspur are one of the 19 football teams that Liverpool will have to play this season, and that is the sum total of my feelings of rivalry towards Spurs. I always forget they exist. It's mad.
So I'll go out on a limb, right, and I will tell you that the top 9 all stay in the top 9.
Okay.
And I will say that Burnley and Everton probably swap places. Everton make the top 10.
Okay.
And I think Tottenham, I have them down. Tottenham and Arsenal probably finish 7th and 8th. And maybe Sheffield United drop down a couple of places.
I wonder whether, and again...
But Arsenal finishing 7th and 8th, Arsenal and Tottenham, that's big news.
My sneaky feeling through all this is that it will favour the historically big clubs. So I don't think this will do Sheffield United any favours. And that's going to be a real test for them because Chris Wilder's done a boss job. Everyone loves them. They've got no superstars, etc., etc. They've got a system that works for them more than anything else. And it's about, without like the fierce force of Bramall Lane behind them. I'm not saying they're going to be in Union Berlin per se, but they don't have that same level of thing behind them. And I wonder whether they're going to come into a position where it will just be those... Wolves and them fall foul of it. I hope not, because it'd be hilarious.
I think the difference between Wolves and Sheffield, and Wolves have a good home record anyway, but they do well away from home, don't they? At the same time, the difference for me there is that Wolves players individually are very experienced players, and they've played in multiple leagues and they've played at the top level before, certainly the Portuguese lads. And I just think that when you're making a game almost like a training session, the technically better players come out on top. And the reason why, right, I think is, say you're a Park the Bus team. Have you thought about this? Mm-hmm. Like that fortitude that the crowd like baying for, like fucking come on. Yeah. Like if you're just under pressure from Manchester City time and time again, and there's no atmosphere, at some point someone's gonna make an error. And I just think that really favours the better teams, the technical teams, much more so. And Wolves would be one of those teams where I think are technically better.
Yeah, it's interesting that because it can go both ways. You're right, you don't necessarily have the wall of noise behind you at home, but you also don't have like the the creeping panic that when you've got an opposing, 3/4 of a stadium against you in those situations as well. So it could.
But the difference is, when you're a player, I think when you're a player and you're one of those teams where you have 40 shots, there's no your fans aren't getting to the point where they go, oh, this is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you're just a player and you think, oh, fuck, we're going to score at some point. This is just dead easy. So I just think the good teams, it just massively favours the good teams.
The thing that I think does Sheffield United is they don't score goals. They've scored 30 goals in 28 games, which is just mad. And it's just their defensive record, I think, that's been keeping them in. They've got an amazing defensive record. It's second only to us, actually, in the top 10. and it's whether that's enough. But again, I think again, it might not go like the Bundesliga, but you can only go really on best guess and seeing similar sorts of stuff. A lot of games are going to be won in the first half an hour, and if Sheffield United ride that out, that could work in their favour for stuff. But I also just fancy them, you know, if they don't switch on, if they haven't got that, whatever that is, if they can't click into the same gear they were in quickly, it can only be it's only going to take
players,
a couple of games.
I haven't watched anywhere near as much Bundesliga as you. I've only seen one game that there was a comeback, and it was Bayern Munich the other day. Was it Leverkusen? They came back to win like 4-1 or something like that. But it feels to me like you go behind and you've got no belief to get back into the game.
Yeah.
Because there's no one there giving you that belief that you can get back into game. So it feels like at 2-0, it literally does become a training session for the better team.
Yeah, like I say, it wouldn't shock me at all if Man City didn't lose a game, with the only exception hopefully being against Liverpool. It's interesting, the Tottenham Arsenal. Right, so we've got category number 1 here, surprisingly good. Which team do you think is going to be surprisingly good? So you can't have like Man City and Liverpool because that wouldn't be a surprise. I'm going with Everton for this. I know, because, and listen, it's the Ev, so there is just as likely to pull a full-on the Ev and completely capitulate. But I think Carlo Ancelotti just having a bit more time to get his feet under the table. And okay, it's not like he's had 3 months of intense training with the team or whatever, but I think he's had more time, so he'll have done more of his research, he'll have galvanized. I think him and having that manager in that unusual set of circumstances might end up benefiting them. I mean, I think 12th in the Premier League. I can't see Everton finishing bottom half, but it would be a very interesting world. They are 3 points behind Arsenal, 4 points behind Spurs, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying they're going to finish 5th or anything like that, but I would be power shift. Like not a Merseyside power shift, but I would love, in a really perverse way, to see Everton steal a march on an Arsenal or a Spurs, because I actually think the size of football club and all that kind of stuff, Everton get so maligned. I would sneaky love them to finish above on one of those so-called big 4, big 6 teams.
I will say Bournemouth.
Okay.
Because they've got the players back.
Yeah.
And they're in the relegation zone. So, I mean, like, on a sliding scale of good, they'll be better than what they were. And they'll probably be, in 4 or 5 weeks, they won't be anywhere near the relegation zone. And that, I think that counts as surprisingly good.
I think that's a good job. My only other outside one...
They had like 11 injuries, didn't they?
He did, like, an entire side. Yeah, ludicrous.
Ridiculous. And going back onto, like, the technical stuff, they're a good technical side.
The only one outside of this is... form probably follows this, whether it counts as surprising. I'm interested to see what Watford do, because I think Nigel Pearson had got something going there, and I'd be interested to see whether he's able to keep that going all of a sudden, whether Watford just end up not in the relegation conversation.
If it's any consolation.
Yeah, I have no great love for Watford, so that'd be fine. Okay, surprisingly shit. Which team do you think is going to be surprisingly shit? You can have Arsenal in this if you want, because
I don't think that's surprising.
No, not to us, Chris. But, like, you know, Arsenal got a lot of fans and there's a lot of expectations. They've got a lot of good players and they've got a manager finally that they
Can I pick a player to be surprisingly shit?
Okay.
More in hope than anything else.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Bruno Fernandes.
Okay.
Because, like... Did he make it into the team of the fucking year off 5 games?
He made it as a BBC's team.
Like, you're having a fucking laugh, Sanders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fucking, come on.
Yeah, that's what happens when you leave things to fan votes. Bruno Fernandes, like Man United go, who can we vote? Who can we vote for? Oh, we can't legitimately vote for Rashford in a front three, can we? So we'll have to go for Bruno. Oh, we love Bruno. Fuck off. 5 games.
Fucking joke. Yeah. So and. Again, I don't actually think they will be shit, but I do hope that it is Manchester United, because they've they had a few games where they were all right. They had Bruno Fernandes, and I just think it would be, and all they've had for this like 3-month period is how fucking they've got the best midfield in the world and fucking all this type of stuff. And Tony's getting a fucking tune up top, and Anthony's fucking all this and all that.
He's made a grand total of 9 appearances for them, Chris, but 5 Premier League appearances. Now he got 2 goals and 3 assists. That's very much a similar return to what Liverpool got out of Patrick Berger when he signed for us. And Patrick Berger was a very, very talented footballer. But I really like Bruno Fernandes, by the way. I would have loved us to sign him, but you're right. I'm not sure he necessarily is in being knighted as the next George Best or whatever for United is probably a tad premature.
So I really hope it's them.
Yeah,
I know that's not a prediction.
Surprisingly shit. I think it's either going to be Leicester or Man United.
I'm not backing the Leicester horse, not again. Because I said that at the start of the season.
Yeah.
They were going to be a real struggle. If you remember the first show.
Brendo was going to struggle. He's not.
I think the words I use were, he's not going to be able to get a tune out of Vardy.
I was
nearly right.
I don't think Man United's problems haven't gone away.
No.
Like they might touch lucky, and if Solskjaer's smart, they'll go out and blitz. But he plays them as a counter-attacking side, and I'm not sure. I mean, that might work if teams come.
That will work.
If
but they won't win them a title.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. The title. It's funny saying it in a conversation.
They say it like they're saying it about next season. They're saying it about next year, Paul.
It's glorious.
It's like there's nothing more annoying to me, and we must have been like this as
deluded.
Deluded. Yeah. We must have been like this. It's like Arsenal got the best front three. That's what they said when they had fucking Pep. They haven't even played a fucking game together, and we're 29 games into the fucking season or something. You know what I mean? Or a full 90 minutes or whatever it is. Man United got the best midfield in the world now with Pogba, fucking Fernandes and Fred or something.
Oh God, yeah, Fred.
Fred was boss, by the way. Yeah, Fred was sound when Fernandes come in.
Yeah.
But Pogba, like, he still doesn't like us. He still wants to fucking go. And for some reason, you still think he's good. Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah, because he's good on FIFA. Paul Pogba is an amazing footballer. He's just not brilliant at football. Like, you know, like he's
a freestyler, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, he's very good. Like, he's very good at all the bits that you would, you know. He's got all the right tools. He just has. Remember, we used to have. In fact, we have, everyone knows him. Everyone's got a mate who's boss at keepy ups, but you can't do keepy ups in a match. And you always had that lad.
Unless you're Ronaldinho.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Fair play. Yeah. No, I'd be. Again, is it? Would Man United be a surprise? I don't know, but I would love it. I would genuinely love it. So yeah, I'll have that. Okay, top goal scorer.
I think Vardy still stays it.
So we've got.
Vardy's about 3 or 4 ahead of Aubameyang.
Vardy is currently top of the pile on 19. Aubameyang second, 17. Aguero 16. Salah 16. Ings 15. Rashford 14. Mane 14. So Aubameyang's still a shout. Vardy's still very much a shout. Aguero, Salah.
I think it's going to be Vardy.
Reckon?
I still think, but I think Leicester are going to stay in third.
Okay.
So and I think Arsenal is shit.
Mohamed Salah.
Interesting. Not Ings.
No, I think Southampton are just going to be
surprisingly shit.
No, just what Southampton have been.
It's a good manager though.
Yeah, no, fine. You know, he's fine, isn't he? But Salah. I think Salah was on that trajectory towards it anyway. Obviously, Vardy having had time to recover means he's going to be. You know, he's going to be playing games of football again, which was very much in doubt for the rest of the season. But I think Salah having that break. I think Salah's had very much needed a physical break. He's finally had one that he was never ever going to get otherwise, and he's just looking at that golden boot and going, "Go ahead, play me in every game."
Number 3.
Yeah, 3 on the bouncer. So yeah, I'd go with that. Relegated.
I have gone. Oh well, I know this. It's Aston Villa, Norwich, and I'm really sorry, Nicky. West Ham United.
They're in such disarray.
They're shit.
I think it's telling.
They're really shit.
It's the fans. I think you can get a taste for this of the fans who just didn't really want football to come back. Are the ones who you sense in the mood here. You know, oh yeah, the trailing wind tells me here that West Ham, don't want to come back because they're very fearful of getting relegated.
They've got a fucking tough run as well, I think. I had a quick look at it, and I think it's a pretty tough run of games.
So their run of games, oh Christ, their next 3, Wolves, Tottenham, Chelsea, and they've got Man United in there as well. No, fair enough. After they get they've got Newcastle, Burnley, Norwich, Watford and Villa. So they've got it. It's probably going to end up in their hands. But it's whether would you trust it in their hands? No. Yeah, I'm
also saying that Maych gets relegated at the end of the year. Gets sacked at the end of the year.
I'd forgotten he was even West Ham manager. Why on earth did he do that? Absolutely.
He was like, what? He was the manager before Pellegrini as well, wasn't he?
Probably. I've lost count. I feel so
sorry. Didn't they have Zola at one point over the last fucking 10 years as manager?
Maybe. He was definitely Watford manager.
They've literally tried everything. Yeah. West Ham.
Yeah. It's almost as though it might be their owners. Yeah.
Anyway,
we move on.
Yeah, who do you think are going to be relegated?
Norwich, defo. I wonder whether Villa might just scrape the way out of it.
Really?
I think some teams like a Brighton, I think might get sucked in. Because they're another one they've been like trying everything in their power to not have footy be restarted.
And who's their manager again, Paul?
Graham Potter.
Well done.
Nailed it. Only because we played him on Footy Manager the other day. And you went on a big diatribe about what a tit he was, and his name's Potter, and it's like Harry. Yes. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Norwich, Brighton, and then probably West Ham go down.
Do you know what I would? And I hate to say this, but you know what I would really like to happen, and I think they are safe. I'd love Newcastle to go down.
Oh, no, I like Newcastle too much.
So do I, but come on.
But like the hilarity of getting bought out and having loads of money.
That looks like it's on the rocks, by the way, now as well.
I mean, we're fucked if they get relegated.
I just think that like. It's the hope that kills you, isn't it? And like to go away, to think you're going to get bored, to think you're going to challenge at the top and come back 9 games and fucking like lose everyone and end up in the championship again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like the idea of them going down.
The cans will have to stay in the fridge for a little bit longer.
Fucking them some cans up there. It's bottles of Nuki Brown.
Oh, no, it's cans. Have you not onto this? No, cans is the thing. Have you not seen the hashtag cans? They've been waiting for this. They've had the cans on ice basically for when the takeover goes through. Like Shearer was tweeting it and all kinds. Like it's become like their catchphrase for the moment it's finally done. They can,
and they're not talking about Coke Zero.
They can crack a can and have a
but
bevy.
You don't want to put the fucking tinnies in the fridge too early. They go tinny, like the beer tastes horrible. If you're watching this, get them out, get them in just a few hours before you're going to drink it. That way, also you free up some fridge space for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah,
which is a major issue. I only put my beers in on Thursday because I go shopping on Saturday, and then I fill my fridge up again with beer. And then the game is, can I finish these before the big shop?
Yeah, there we go.
Everyone does that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Got to make up some space. Great Sal. Okay, we've got a few more. Let's get to a few of the dafter ones. Player most likely to break lockdown.
Oh, Vardy.
Oh, to go on like to go and defend the Winston Churchill monument.
Yeah, I don't know how Leicester have got such a bad Tory rap. They're not really, are they? They're quite a liberal city, I think.
No, well, it's got a massive Asian community, but I don't know. Sometimes that counts the other way. Leicestershire is a very Tory area. But
I don't think Leicester actually is. I think everyone thinks it is.
I think that they act very Tory. The Leicester fans certainly like.
And the ground was called Filbert Street.
Filbert Street. Yeah. So yeah, I'll take that. It's a bit obvious as low hanging fruit. But it's just Kyle Walker, isn't it? I mean, he's done it twice already, Chris. I mean, at this point, it's like being shocked when Suarez bites someone else. It's like he's just not arsed. He's like, I'll go and hug my family, and I'll go and have some sex parties because I'm a bit bored and I'm rich and why not? So I don't think it's a particularly exciting answer.
Who's the least likely?
The least likely to break lockdown is Jordan Henderson.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Yeah,
that is a very good shout.
He's just got too much riding on on the whole thing. I think he's far too sensible. He's a lad who's been far too sensible for too many years in his life for it to all go tits up now. Bobby Firmino's probably a good shout for this.
breaking lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Liverpool players, like, I mean, bear in mind, he got done for drink driving, didn't he? So he's not exactly the most sensible of human beings. And I've seen how he dresses. And I'm not saying him being a natural extrovert also means he's the kind of person who's an habitual rule breaker, but he breaks fashion rules. And I don't think it's I think it's a hop, skip, and a jump. So just deciding that he wants to go out to pick up a fresh pack of teeth whitener.
I think
whatever.
Bobby Firmino walks downstairs like Joker in the new film.
Oh, like, yeah, he gets caught doing his kicks down the stairs, yeah, in full Joker attire. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll have a bit of that. It wouldn't shock me, though. Let's flip this on its head. If it was like Milner, because...
Oh, yeah, it's just a persona.
Like, because he just went, like the guy over in Germany, the manager who broke it because he needed some toothpaste and a toothbrush, and just went, oh, yeah, and went out Milner, but to do it for one of the most mundane things ever, like he needed hemorrhoids cream, and he had to go out to the chemist and did it and broke lockdown as a result. Yeah,
Steradent.
Yeah, absolutely. Premier League manager most likely to break it.
Why?
Really?
For a little bit.
Isn't he shielding?
A little bit on the side.
I think Steve Bruce. His favourite chippy still isn't doing Deliveroo, and he just decides to go out and get himself a pie and chips after the game and gets clocked once again doing salivating at the menu. Yeah, okay, so right, we got some a few coming via the Twitter, which is at Maych Pajak if you want to follow on that. Thomas Griffin kind of follows on what we were saying. First player to get involved in a sex scandal after the restart. Hard mode. Can't say Kyle Walker.
Well, right. I think the obvious answer, if you can't say Kyle Walker, is Raheem Sterling.
Wow, why is that the obvious answer?
Because the press fucking hate him
and
right. Victimise him.
Yeah. People will find the Raheem Sterling scandal to have. Yeah. No, it's a decent shout. I'm thinking like it's whether it's was it Leicester players because of Nigel Pearson, because like Nigel Pearson's son was caught up in that, like the Thai prostitute scandal thing.
Was he?
Yeah. It was you never
was it big news?
At the time, yeah, this was a few seasons ago. I think this was between the season where they survived and then Pearson got sacked. I think before, people might be able to correct me.
Before Ranieri then.
So I think you've therefore not seen the video. Yeah. Premier League footballers encouraging someone to fart into a girl's mouth is not like it's fine. It's not something you can unsee. But so it's whether that was Leicester, whether it means Leicester are going to be someone from Leicester are going to be prone to it, or whether Nigel Pearson takes this scandal with him, and maybe there's going to be some Watford players involved. I'm waiting to see.
I also think this might be Woy.
Okay.
I think he's a real nympho, like.
Oh, brilliant. Enchanting Duck. Attacker most likely to pretend to cough to put off a defender.
Suarez.
He's such a bellend. It's gonna Costa, Suarez. Premier League.
That's tough. Mainly because I don't know all of them.
Like
anymore.
Craig Bellamy would have been bang up for something like that. Who's a little beaut? Who's the kind of person who's likely to have that in the locker? Again. It's Vardy again, isn't it? Yeah.
I have a really low opinion of Jamie Vardy. Apparently,
he's probably all right, isn't he? No.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most like Eric what? 10. Most likely to test positive 1 hour before kickoff, therefore getting the match postponed. Which club do we think is going to have a go at trying to get the league?
Probably Norwich or City or Everton before our game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Right, I want to talk about something. The media scapegoats. Because there's a video doing the rounds. So they've scrapped. Well, Leagues 1 and League 2 have been decided by points per game, which means Tranmere got relegated by like.
Did you look at the league table
after the fact?
Yeah,
no.
The points per game one.
No.
Did it? Okay, so right. Okay, sounds. Can we just pull it up And can we just pull up the League Two points per game table?
Yeah, go for it.
League Two.
I'll fill while you do that. So you might have seen the video or not, but Coventry got promoted by points per game, and I saw a tweet from someone saying like we were out protesting for Black Lives Matters, and people were calling us a disgrace. And in the same space of Coventry City Centre, Coventry got promoted again via points per game, and loads of fans got into the square and started celebrating and all that. And like, I'm not gonna say it would be stupid of me to go down the. I need to be careful how I say all this, because I think we're going to see a lot of that, and it's which club is likely to be scapegoated. And we've seen that Liverpool, the Merseyside derby is going to be played at Goodison Park, and that was a big thing. They were trying to play the Liverpool games where they could win the title, Chris, at neutral venues, and the last shout was going to be Southampton, to put it as far away as possible.
Yeah.
Because of fears the fans will congregate. And I think, look, fans are going to congregate. Fans of all clubs who have something to celebrate will congregate. It's an absolute fact. But I have got a big fear here on this, that we've jumped to the defence and we've gone, no, look, it's a disgrace. Joe Anderson coming out and saying that, like, you know, come out and saying it shouldn't happen because that was going to happen. And everyone's saying Joe Anderson's a bellend and he's a blue nose, and how dare he say all these things. And we've all staunchly jumped to the defence of Liverpool fans. And I think rightly so, because I think people deserve the opportunity to self-police in certain regards. But my lingering fear over all of this is that there's just going to be a bunch of lids who turn up to Anfield no matter what, even whether they're mad Liverpool fans or not. There just will be, and there will be videos of this, and we are primed to have the title tarnished, or the media will be desperate to tarnish us, because they'll be looking for examples and young Scouse lads jumping up and down, throwing smoke bombs and stuff, which I just think will happen. Is a prime example of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Unfortunately, and I've said all along, I'm not going to be one of those people that does it or anything like that. But I do think that people will congregate it. I think you see it with Coventry, you'll see it up and down the country with it, and probably all sports.
Coventry got promoted on points per game, Chris. It's not like they even win a game of football and they were out. And I saw that and I was like, crap. Because even if it's not an individual football club, the government in particular and the right-wing media who will be desperate to draw eyes away from people shining a light onto their dodgy practices. They are going to be like pigs in shit when this happens. And I hope it doesn't happen, but I don't think it'll happen. Like, I don't think there'll be 500,000 Liverpool fans lying in the streets when Liverpool win the title, but I think there will be enough just random, even if it's only a gathering of 50 or 100, which on the grand scheme of things is nothing really. Compared to how many people have been turning up on Southport and Formby Beach and all that kind of stuff, nothing. But I don't think that mattered. There will be no one will give it the context. People will just be desperate to be
the thing that we need in this instance is we need to go and do it in Stanley Park and draw fucking 2-metre circles on the floor and make sure everyone stands in the fucking thing with the fingers up at the sky cameras like fucking that, and a flare in one hand. Yeah. I'm fucking what, boys? I'm in the park. Yeah. I only know 6 people here and I'm in a fucking circle. Don't come fucking near me. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what we need to do. We need to turn it to our advantage rather than just fall into it and get done.
How much is it going to cost us to buy, let's just say for the sake of argument, between 5,000 to 10,000 hula hoops?
I mean, off the top of my head, £5 each, 25 grand.
I think the season ticket refund money should be. I'd donate my season ticket refund money if I could be given a hula hoop to stand in.
If anyone's got
Stanley Park to celebrate the title.
The caretaker of Stanley Park is probably watching this, or Jericho Fields or whatever. Get your white line fucking thing and get it out like Box a fucking protector. Sort it out, lads. Sort it out for us, because that's where we're going to be.
But then you're right. There's going to be so many obvious things that come out of this. There's going to be people looking to catch football fans out in streets and out and around grounds. There's going to be sky cameras or sly like Paps. There's going to be people waiting outside Anfield and waiting outside Goodison to catch those images because they're going to be worth money. Someone's going to speculate on that. And I genuinely hope, because like I say, I don't think 100 people turning up at Goodison Park, or even a couple hundred, I think warrants hundreds of thousands of fans to be tarred with a brush and that kind of thing. And I wouldn't see that as a big deal. That should be able to be handled by whatever's been put in place for it.
We might be able to use the car park. Need to have a space.
but
there's nice clear paths that you can walk up and down then as well, though, isn't there? You see lads just reversing in.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's so. You can't predict. We can't really predict how the football's going to go. We had 30 years of experience of watching football, and we got every one of our nailed-on predictions wrong at the start of the season. This season, and that was in a normal footballing environment. We're certainly not going to be able to predict it, but there's just some blind and the obvious things are the things that aren't going to change, and it's going to be football fans are going to be made to look like hooligan, lockdown breaking scumbags, and they're going to be held up and held accountable, and everyone's names therefore dragged through the mud when nobody will stand up and say, hang on a second, what about the people jumping around on VE Day, and what about the people who've been on the beaches and all that kind of stuff? It's so blatant.
I think the scapegoat here, and obviously that's the people that do it, or if they do it right, but I think the scapegoat here is Klopp.
Okay.
Because I think he'll come out and say something, and we've already seen him come out and talk about we'll just do it when the season's over, and I don't think he'll deserve to be the scapegoat, but he's also going to be the most successful current manager in the Premier League, and that the press need a narrative change on him. He needs to turn heel for them. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that this might be the point where, you know, he's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League, he's fucked our cup competition up against Shrewsbury.
Oh God, did you see the Shrewsbury?
Yeah.
So
he's done all that, and then all of a sudden, and now he didn't fucking stand up and say, "Do not fucking come out," and all this. And I just feel like the media might just go on him for a bit.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you can see Klopp's already started his slide media campaign of like, don't.
Of course he hasn't, that's good, because he's a good person.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get your time to celebrate as and when it comes, which I think is the right thing to do. And I wonder whether they'll ramp that up in the next week leading up to the season restarting. But yeah, other than that, you're right. Is it just gonna be business as usual? The Daily Mail slaughtering young black footballers, and Liverpool fans being hung out to dry. And yeah, let's hope the world's all changed. Let's hope everyone can just enjoy the footy being back and enjoy it just because it's a nice escape from the problems of the wider world and whatever. Certainly I hope so. Chris, I meant to do this at the top, but we totally forgot.
Eggington.
We got a new patron who joined up, who wants to give a shout out to.
I think his name's Eggington, but he probably says it Edgington.
Yeah.
And Dave, I think. Dave.
What job?
Dave.
What job?
Dave Edgington. I got it right. See? We value you, David.
Thank you so much.
Dave. Eggington.
Right, sad.
The third.
Hopefully the podcast remains business as usual. We've got a couple of things to sort out in terms of how and when we record the podcast with football coming back, and it be like, oh yeah, we have to do Liverpool shows again. All of a sudden, we'll keep everyone updated if there is a change. I'd like to keep the schedule and the release dates as it is and that, but we'll make sure you guys know if you want to support us, do come over to patreon.com/Maych and make sure you drop a like on this video if you're on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review if you're on podcasting apps, and leave a little comment, and I'll read them out on the next podcast as well. Is there anything you want to add or wrap up on? Do you want to purge anything this week?
Hello, Dave. Yeah, just the fucking tits that keep coming out and saying all lives matters. Like, we fucking know. Yeah. But, like, it's, sort the problems out first, and then we can discuss all lives matters.
It's if I had to purge anything, again, we live in this world where everyone's been given a voice and everyone's got an opinion. That's amazing that we've got that. That's cool. That's a good positive step and all that. But it's the nitpicking over those things. The all lives matter stuff. And we said this last week. We get it. You're right. But, it'd be nice to get to a world where it can truly have some weight behind it. But it is for every time. It's the people who write off big movements and big ideas because of small issues and small problems. Like, criticising the entire, everyone who's gone out in protest, who's gone out in support for a big cause, and then someone graffitis on a statue. Like I said, I don't agree with people graffitiing on the cenotaph, and I know that's the kind of thing that means something to a lot of people, but it's an example of what we were talking about last week about, like, that's probably our closest thing we've got to, like, the flag thing that Americans have got, buying into these symbols. I don't necessarily have loads of those. I'm sure, look, if someone wanted to graffiti twats on the side of Anfield, that'd probably be, I'd probably laugh, to be fair. But, like, there's some, if someone I don't know until someone was attacked something I had a personal affinity for or whatever. But you're right, the people who have decided that the Black Lives Matters movement is nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, we've got you on a technicality, boys.
Yeah, right.
All lives matter.
Yeah, pack it in. Oh, you dickheads. Yeah. Someone said it was Kendra Little, actually, it was a big part of the Liverpool scene a while back. I've got on Facebook and just said that, like, it's not, just to clarify, it's not, when you say Black Lives Matter, no one's saying that your life doesn't matter if you're not black. That's not the point. But some people seem desperate to do that, and I would happily not page those people, because it's better to have people around to educate them, but, like, just purging the simple way out and the simple, like, right, we've put that in a little box and fucked it off.
Oh, can I also just fucking purge the fucking women on Instagram who were, like, posing for photographs?
Yeah.
Have you seen all that shit? And they just go in and they go, get the fucking sign up with the mask on and all that, psych a little fucking pose, maybe, like, fucking give it half a boob or whatever, with the Black Lives Matter sign, and then just fucking throw it on the floor and walk off.
Yeah.
Fucking do one. I fucking hate influencers. I hate them.
Yeah. I mean, you're an influencer, Chris.
You can't put a tag on me.
No, I agree. People do it for likes is a sadly a world we live in. But, better have exposure, Chris. As long as it goes on the big Instagram accounts.
Keep your fucking exposure to your OnlyFans, you pricks.
Okay. The other one last thing that I want to purge. Donald Trump suggesting that the guy who was pushed over by police and cracked his head open was basically a plant, and deliberately deliberately fell harder on the floor.
He didn't.
Oh, mate, it's unbelievable. I can't get into it now.
He didn't.
I can't do it. It's mad. This is the world we live in. He's called. You get it every time there's a disaster. Remember when the Boston bombings, and this is the first time I became aware of this false flag shit, where people make up conspiracy theories and say it's all actors. So no one really got hurt at the Boston bombings, apparently, because according to these websites and these conspiracy theories, because they were all actors who were, like, crisis actors that get dropped in to make a scene, and so it's.
Is this just like fucking 999 finished years ago, and they just don't have a job no more?
Mate, honestly, it's reenactment people come back, but honestly, this is where, but they're done with so much. It's like if I was that the kind of shit that they live for. You create such compelling story around it, and you use official sounding words. And it's actually, when you read this stuff, you see it's like the 5G conspiracy theories. People read things, and if it sounds like it's got an officious tone to it, people start to believe it. And that's what's happening. Is like this has got to stop being like a mad corner of the internet conspiracy lunacy. It's creeping into mainstream. Let's purge the shit out of that right now. Right.
Do you know why we need to sort politics out, right? You need to get the leader of the parties up in the fucking underwear and let the nation decide whether that person should be ruling the fucking country or not. Because Boris Johnson would not get fucking voted in tighty whities, and nor would Donald fucking Trump in his stained fucking tighty whities.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, yeah, it's slightly concerning. The Gordon Brown wouldn't have won the general election because he was less sexy than David Cameron. No, but that's the You're gonna end up with fucking Rishi Sunak or whatever.
Like when they're all tits, just get them in the tighty whities.
Or maybe we do it
because you wouldn't believe a word Trump said if you seen him in his underwear.
It's the reverse, right? There's that, because that's a good point. Like, but you say that it goes back to to Nixon versus JFK, and everyone, because they were the first like televised debates, and everyone who listened to the debate on the radio. Thought
someone won and watched it, thought somebody else won.
Exactly. So there's all that kind of stuff. But we should be just listening to the words, because when you listen to the words that Trump and Boris Johnson say, you're like, well, they're not even sentences. That's just bumbling nonsense. Why are we letting this person? But they're allowed when they're allowed to bluster on the platform and they're added graphics and social media teams, it works for them. Right? No, we're done. We're out. Thank you so much for watching and for listening this week. Reviews, likes, become a Patreon, become a patron on Patreon. Jesus Christ. The names of our.
I thought you said we were done.
Shut up. We're going to put out the names of our absolute legends in there, and we'll see you all soon. Ta-ra.